Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BlackUSA.News Morning Show. My name's Donnie Glover. Today, we are here with Quida Chancey of Smalltimore Homes, and she's going to inform us, enlighten us. This lady, to my understanding, she's just a construction maven. Is that right, Quida?
I don't know if I would consider myself a construction maven, but if somebody else said it, I will definitely take it and run with it.
Just gave it to you. Construction maven.
I will definitely take that. Yes, Smalltimore Homes. We aim to end homelessness right here in Baltimore. Like that is the motto, and you got to learn to build houses to make that happen.
Wow, Quida, what took you on this journey? So you are the founder of Smalltimore Homes?
Yeah, and it didn't start with Smalltimore. It started with wanting to invest in Baltimore, wanting to buy a home, knowing that, generational wealth, one of the easiest ways to do that is to buy a home, and you have to live in a home. And so I just started doing research in Baltimore, used my retirement funds, started investing in houses. But although I wanted to create homeowners, I found that a lot of people weren't interested in owning a home. And so I'm like, well, there's some sort of disconnect. And from that, Smalltimore Homes kind of was founded so that we could do, free financial literacy workshops and build workshops, teach people how to use tools and kind of empower the community to do what I'm doing on a smaller scale.
Why do you care, Quida?
Because these people look like me. Like, I don't have any children, so this is my baby. Baltimore is my baby, and I want to see Baltimore thrive. Listen, and I feel like I'm still in labor, okay? So I need you to understand, like, it's a long process, and this is the little bit that I think I can contribute toward.
Hey, come on, Quida, let the cat out the bag. What happened? What was the situation?
I mean, okay, so one of the things that I've learned on this journey of entrepreneurship is that in a lot of cases, we find the businesses that would have saved our parents, right? So I bought my first home before my parents bought their first home. But my parents also raised 3 girls. I'm the oldest of 3. We all went to college. Like, there were sacrifices that were made. I'm almost 40. I don't have kids, and I invest in real estate. I recognize generational wealth. And like I said, these are my babies, but recognizing that if people understood the way that credit works, the way that loans work, the way that, even credit, the difference between a credit card and a mortgage and how the interest rates are different. It just, those little nuances, if you learn those at high school, college, early 20s even, by 40, you could be doing what I'm doing as a side hustle.
I think back to when I first went away to college. Now, I wasn't going to get any credit cards, but I remember being flooded with credit card applications, and nobody prepped me for that. It was like, okay, just common sense says I'm not going to do it, but why didn't somebody prep me? It's like,
but it's not just you.
It's an industry. It's a hustle.
It's a hustle. It's intentional. They target, college students that don't know better. And, at some point it's like, well, shouldn't you, know how credit works? And yeah, you should, but not everybody does. That's not a lesson that everybody learns. So, putting free financial literacy information out there, talking to kids about home ownership and how to avoid homelessness, and just, being involved in the community so that if you thrive and the people around you thrive, like, everything just kind of works in a harmonious kind of way.
That's what makes sense to me. I have a book coming out in a couple of weeks on Black Wall Street. I Am Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
That was exactly the mentality of the people in Oklahoma. Did you know that oil was the ingredient that changed the game, not just for Tulsa, but for the entire state of Oklahoma? They found oil like 1905 or so. Tulsa ended up being the oil capital of the world. So if the white folks took the money off the oil,
wow.
If I say we in Baltimore, say Port Covington struck oil, and so all of these companies are investing in Port Covington,
right?
Vicariously, we're supposed to benefit being right next door to success.
That sounds like Reaganomics trickle-down effect to me, and it hasn't worked. But I hear what you're saying.
They have oil, so
if we invest in the land, we can benefit from it.
Oh, I get it.
Because just being proxy to it, just being next to it, doesn't necessarily benefit us. It doesn't even guarantee us jobs if we don't think about it, strategically.
You're right. We had a guy on last night talking about that very thing, buying the land, and not just for houses, but owning the land.
Yeah, businesses.
You do farming too?
Do I farm?
Yeah.
I am learning to grow plants. I compost and I recycle, but I am learning to not kill plants. I got a brown thumb, literally and figuratively. I'm learning because growing our lettuce and our vegetables, although we have to be careful about that in Baltimore. Like if you're going to start a garden, you need to bring in dirt. Don't use Baltimore dirt. It's leached with lead and chemicals and all types of things. But to your point, Donnie, Smalltimore Homes wants to partner with urban gardens or community associations that want to start community gardens, because growing your own food is part of that being, self-aware, self-sufficient, being able to thrive. If we can produce our own food, we don't have to worry about the food disparities in Baltimore, which you and I both know exist.
The Blacks and the Indians that ended up in Oklahoma, the first wave of them came from Florida. Because as the United States was the East Coast, the first 13 colonies, and then they went down to Florida, which was owned by Spain. They wanted Andrew Jackson. He was the leader of the genocide. He wanted to kick the Blacks and the Native Americans out of Florida and send them to Oklahoma. Why? They wanted the land. South United States is the most fertile ground in the country.
Right.
And so this country, the white people, killed the Indians, and the Blacks that escaped to Florida, they wanted to put them back into slavery. But oh baby, that's why you got to get my book, because there was a Black man down there that wasn't tolerating none of that, and he bust a cap in everything that moved. And he should have. Yes, he should have. So when the European came to North America, it was all about the manifest destiny and getting this land, no matter who they had to kill to get it. Just like in Australia.
Means necessary, right?
Just like in Australia. You ever seen what they did to the people in Australia?
Yes, to the Aborigines. Yeah, it's not. Listen, white men think that the world belongs to them, and they believe that they found stuff even when natives have already lived there.
They're the youngest species. They couldn't have found anything. It was already found before they were born.
Right. It's like, is this a mental illness? Like, I don't understand it. It's
weird. Boo-boo. I'm sorry. Quida, yes,
I'm
Quida.
okay with that. I'm okay with it.
Quida, it's mental illness. I don't like me. I can't possibly like you. And especially when you got that caramel skin and that curly, tightly coiled hair that protects you from the sun. Oh my God. You are the mother of humanity.
It's crazy. It is crazy. Like,
we are hated because we're beautiful, literally.
yes, yes, yeah.
But so many of us think we are ugly.
Right. We need to learn to embrace it.
And doing everything that is, and doing everything to the mind, putting our nose in the pencil sharpener,
yep,
bleaching cream.
Yes.
All because we didn't realize how beautiful we are and where we are.
Yes.
We're in a place where, I mean, I've been to New York City once or twice. I didn't realize until I did some reading, you know, the racial challenges that people went through in New York City.
Yeah.
New York. See, they figured if they could get it over on the black people in New York, they could do it anywhere in the country.
Yep.
So much started there. So even though I'm writing about Black Wall Street in Tulsa,
yeah.
Oh, baby, Weeksville was there in the 1800s, just like Seneca Village.
Yeah, yeah.
1835, 1828, independent black communities. Slavery had ended. Did you know that New York was spending 10 times as much on public education as the average southern city?
No clue. No, but that's not true today, is it?
Yes, well, but think about it. You've been away, you've been to other cities, other states.
Yeah.
I went to Morehouse. I didn't know Georgia was 49th in public education, but New York is higher up on the list.
Yeah. Okay, so you went to Morehouse?
Yeah, just listen to
the
average New Yorker. I'm not putting you on a pedestal, but I'm saying
no, but no, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. There is a level of dialect and understanding and communication that New Yorkers have. Like you said, that lady was cursing somebody out early in the morning, but you understood succinctly like immediately what her intent was, what she was saying, and she got it across. That is something that New Yorkers definitely, yes, have perfected regardless of their level of education. I will agree with you on that. I hear what you're saying.
And sometimes, you know, Maryland is right in the middle. They say we're a southern state with a northern mentality.
Yeah.
Even Marylanders go down to Georgia and we will hear some things we have never heard in life.
This is true.
Kind of like asking James Brown for the lyrics to his songs.
Listen, Donnie, I went to Spelman. I used to say that people in Atlanta spoke Bama. I said, y'all got a whole nother language and it's called Bama because it is not English. But by the time I finished at Spelman, I spoke fluent Bama. I understood it. It was crazy. It was crazy.
I had never heard the word fin in my life.
Finna go to spell. Come again. What?
We were downtown on Peachtree and I heard the mother who had a plastic bag on the head at the time. This was the 80s. If you're familiar with the plastic bag, you know what it was all about.
Yes.
It was all about that curl, boo.
Yes.
But the mother said to the child, me and my boy were right there. We're crossing Peachtree. The mother said, Baba dim dim baba, and the baby said, Baba dim dim da. And they went on walking. Somebody knew what somebody was saying, but we didn't.
No.
And so part of it too is the Geechee Gullah Geechee culture. South Carolina, Georgia. Did you know there were freedom colonies all off the coast of Georgia, South Carolina?
I didn't know that until I was living in Georgia. Yeah.
And Florida was the go-to state for escaping.
Yeah.
Florida wasn't an American colony until 1831. So people, despite all we thought about Florida was the spot. It was, dude, if you were in Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, South Carolina, you trying to get to Florida. That's where the Seminoles were. So you see that all the time, the Seminoles?
Yeah.
Those were blacks and Indians that fought the European to the end. And some of them never gave up. They called the unconquered. The rest of them went to Oklahoma in the first wave. So the Second Seminole War was actually the largest slave insurrection in United States history.
Wow.
So all, the white people try to play like we're not wanted, especially after Trayvon Martin. I had such a negative impression of Florida. I never wanted to see it again.
Yeah.
But as this research was hitting me, Florida was where we first found freedom.
Yeah, it's all propaganda. Right. They want to make us feel unwelcome, even where we are very welcome with open arms.
They are the ones that are unwelcome. They are the ones that have soiled the ground with hatred.
Yeah. And for some reason, I don't understand why people think
did
it's
nothing.
up to us to fix it. Like, we can't fix a problem that you all created. Like, this is your responsibility,
But this country is quick to tell us to be responsible for our actions.
Yeah, or invite us to leave as if this country belongs to them, or they started here. You are not Native American.
You're an immigrant. A country of immigrants. Now we don't like immigrants.
It's weird. It's very weird.
It's very hateful too. I mean,
yeah, I don't understand that lifestyle. So when I started Smalltimore, like, one of the things that I said was, it was weird to me how many, people that didn't look like me came to, help and reach out. But I realized it was really just the social construct. They came to reach out because they're the ones with the money. Like, that's the way the system has, constructed it. They're the ones that are able to help and have to get rid of that money as a tax benefit or as a good gesture, whatever the case may be. But it's still a part of the social construct. Like, access and resources, just as much as a problem as the generational wealth and financial literacy.
So what year did you start this journey?
I started my for-profit Xavier Estates back in 2015. And then I started
Pretty great.
Smalltimore Homes in 2018 because I wasn't seeing the impact that I wanted to make.
So you have a for-profit and a non-profit.
Yeah.
The first person I learned about that concept from founded the Harbor Bank, Joe Haskins.
Yeah. I bank with Harbor Bank, Black owned. Go ahead and put you a little bit of money in there, y'all. Y'all don't even have to have all of your money there. Just support Black banks. The fact that they have more accounts means that they have more interest, more membership, and that means something to somebody up there. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Donnie.
No. In New York, you got some Black banks. You got one that just opened a branch up there, Industrial, started out of DC.
Yeah.
One in Harlem and one in Jersey.
I have an account with Industrial too. I hide my money from myself as well as supporting Black businesses and Black banks. But ultimately, part of my secret to saving is hiding money for myself. If it's in a bank in New York, do you know how difficult it's going to be for me to get from Baltimore to New York to go get that money? Now, if I really need it, I'll make it happen. But otherwise, that's a savings account.
Mm-hmm. So would you ever move back to New York?
No, sir. No, sir. Not at all. Nope. I honestly, I wish Baltimore weather was different. I honestly don't want to live here. I don't like wintertime. Nope. Nope. Florida.
What about Atlanta? Have you seen Southwest Atlanta?
I
where
love it.
the projects were and different things now, that whole area is being changed around.
That's where I live, in East Lake Village. Yeah.
East Lake.
And that's controversial because a lot of Black people were displaced because the projects were removed as part of revitalization to Atlanta back in the early 2000s.
Now, I've been to New York City, and I'm qualifying this because I ain't trying to get swung on by no New Yorkers, but Co-op City up in the Bronx, they look like projects. But if you go up there and you say they projects, they say, no, because these are condos.
I have a friend that lives up there. Yeah. And they very much do look like projects. I think Like, that's the concrete jungle. I don't know if New York knows how to build big buildings that don't look like projects.
Well, what I'm getting to is, and I'm going back to my dad. He said we weren't meant to live in projects for generations.
For sure, for sure.
Not 10, 12. The projects here in Baltimore were developed after the wars. So like after
Right.
World War II, Black family veterans needed
Yeah.
somewhere to house their families while they overseas. It was for
Yeah.
veterans. It's been transformed into something else. It's like Cabrini Green. But it initially, there was good intent. But the other thing is, and I'm learning this here in Sandtown, and I do need you over here in Sandtown, that things change.
Yeah.
Baltimore, I fell in love with as a child through 85 is never going to be again.
No.
I live in Sandtown. 20 years ago in Sandtown, a Black man would get his hind parts whipped creeping in the alley. Today, 2021 in Sandtown, I am chasing white addicts out of my alley.
Yeah.
Unheard of. A white lady was walking down my alley at 11 o'clock at night. The German Shepherd looked at me. I looked at the German Shepherd. I said, oh.
You stupid. Yeah.
Black people don't go in the alley at 11 o'clock at night. And she was just walking.
It's a whole new world. I live not far from Hopkins. And the other morning, like, I had to tell somebody to stop sleeping on my front step. It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it's still like, where am I? Like, what is this? It's a very different Baltimore. And until the community embraces the idea of community, it's going to be hard to change it.
I may disagree with you, Quida, but I ain't going to fight you this morning. But Johns Hopkins on their own thing.
Oh, listen. They're part of the problem, if we're going to be honest. But that's a whole nother show, for a whole nother day.
Well, look at Philadelphia. Temple is in a similar situation. Temple is expanding. Johns Hopkins is expanding. The problem I have with Johns Hopkins, though, is while they evolve and get fatter, Black people are pushed away. Don't push my people away. Now, what you may not know, my grandmother said in 1950, if you're Black, you better not go to sleep around Johns Hopkins because you'll end up in one of them experimental cages.
And listen, these are the facts. Okay, so never mind, mistreating Black patients and doing things. Henrietta Lacks, one, those two words say enough. Predatory lending, buying up the land, displacing Black families, trying to have their own police unit. There's a lot of things that Hopkins does for the community and to the community. And I think the things need to be separated and discussed on a different kind of level.
It's unchecked because they've been so empowered. And then it's this notion, this is the greatest research institution in the world. I'm not impressed with that because you're then telling me that my people are the greatest specimen in the world. When I think of Vivian Thomas, who trained Hopkins med students to be doctors. But let me tell you what's worse than that racism. When that man went to Morgan to start his own academic career, Morgan. So, I'm not one to just say, oh, HBCUs. There's some HBCUs that need to be pimp slapped too.
For sure. Right. Because it's not specific. Yeah. It's big organizations that aren't responsible with the way that they're spending, investing, and giving back. Like, there's a moral and a social responsibility, regardless of what you did yesteryear and what you plan to do tomorrow. Every day, there's a responsibility to the community and the people that were here before you got here and the people that will flourish after you leave.
There should be.
And that's the problem. But that's the problem.
Well, I would tell you our biggest problem is Black bureaucrats.
Yeah.
Black people that count white people's money better than white people.
Yeah.
Oh no, you can't do that. I essentially hear them saying, "Oh, Massa ain't gonna like that."
Yeah.
You got a degree, you got a college degree, you can think.
And not only that, like, just because something is allowed or not allowed doesn't mean that it's right. And at the end of the day, I don't need permission to do what's right. Do you know what? Like, I don't ask for permission. If anything, I'm gonna ask for forgiveness, and we're gonna move on, figure it out, and keep it going. Because there's no time for me to sit here and have you agree with everything that I'm about to do. Because if you agreed with it, it would have already been done.
Yeah. Then, but I think our biggest challenge is us. Think about it, Quida. Our ancestors coming out of slavery saved nickels, pennies, quarters to build our HBCUs.
For sure. Yeah.
Now, with all of our degrees and fancy homes, we're closing HBCUs. And I just want to commend you, because it's one thing to create an opportunity for yourself, but to create opportunities for others. And you live in the city from Spelman? See, in Sandtown, now I told you about some of the challenges, but do you know who's moving here to buy homes? White people.
Yeah. Yes.
A Black woman, you cannot get a Black woman, generally speaking, to move to Sandtown. Oh, no. We're going to Owens Mills.
These are the facts. And you know what else? Like, West Baltimore, the face of West Baltimore will change slowly but surely, specifically because of the travel gap from Baltimore to DC. There are a lot of people who used to or still do work in DC, but live in Baltimore because their money goes so much longer. And that's just going to continue to build up. So by West Side, what is that? The West Side Shopping Center, or the MARTA station over there on the West Side, the MARTA, or the MARC, not MARC. I'm sorry, I'm talking Atlanta language, talking about MARTA. The MARC station over there in West Baltimore, the MARC station in Penn North, like, these areas are going to continue to bustle and grow big. So if you're looking to invest in Baltimore, start in those areas, because white people are buying those houses to commute.
I wanted to share this with you too, Quida. Have you ever been to Portland, Oregon?
I have not, but there are so many tiny home communities for veterans and people experiencing homelessness.
We got to go to Portland. I got to show you. They have homelessness like we've never seen. You probably, I would imagine you've seen it in New York, but even New York, Quida,
doesn't compare.
They got people just, you talking to them 1 second, and the next minute they laying down on the sidewalk. They got, and it's making its way here, because I'm peeping, they got the same backpacks, and then they not regular old backpacks. They some real expensive overnight survival gear backpacks and tents too.
Yes, to get across country. Yes, Oregon, Seattle,
protests.
Yeah.
You know Antifa?
Yes.
When they had the demonstrations downtown, somebody was dropping these bricks at the intersections, mimicking what was going on out there in Portland with Antifa. Last night, I just got word from Portland. My Morehouse brothers out there. Mm-hmm. They have a Black administrator from Baltimore, believe it or not, who wants to defund the police. They want to defund the police in Portland. Can you imagine a city with no police?
I can. Once upon a time. I mean, I can. To some degree, I do believe that most humans want to be good. And To some degree, I believe that we can police ourselves, but there's too many layered drugs, addiction, mental illness. Until those things are addressed, policing ourselves isn't going to work. Does that make sense? Like, I think it's possible, but not today. Not in this state of where fragility and in the middle of a pandemic. What? Come on.
You know who we have hired here in the city of Baltimore before to bring security? The Fruit of Islam. I would say, I think the Fruit of Islam, the security force for the Nation of Islam, is very capable of helping to restore order. They're going to sell dope. Baltimore's a heroin town. They're going to sell the heroin. But what's changed these days is the level of respect. See, I'm from the old school. I'm not my child's friend. I don't care if you like me. None of that. My job is to show you the way.
Yeah. Love you and respect you. Done.
Yeah. But it's a different world today. You know, $2,000 helicopter rides to the prom. My mother would not spend $2,000 on me for one night anywhere in the world, ever, in the history
of life.
Ever. And my father don't even look this way. You already know. Because you know why? They would say, do you think I would treat you better than I treat myself? I was happy just to go to the prom. But the day these cats need a helicopter, and I'm like, hold up. Isn't the real celebration getting into college? See, we've dummied it down. Oh, not everybody made for college. Oh, your ancestors came out of slavery where it was illegal to read. And you want to let some 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old tell you, oh, I don't need an education. See, it's not the children's fault. It's the parents' fault because you're trying to be their friend. I'm not your friend. I don't care if you like me, but I'm going to show you how to take care of yourself.
Yeah. I can't speak much to it. Like I said, I don't have kids. But to your point, the level of respect, I was talking to somebody and they were saying, yeah, we don't even, call our elders by Mr. and Mrs. It's just their first name, And I'm like, oh, where they do that at? Because I'm not allowed to do that. Like, y'all need to change that. Address the people that are addressing you wrong.
Call my grandmother by her first name, Flossie. And she was suave with it. I can only imagine if for some reason I lost my mind for a few minutes. I can only imagine how, because she was real suave. She was gangster with it. She was like this: you don't speak, you don't eat.
Okay.
She come in the door, hey, Donnie boy. I'm caught up in Captain Chesapeake, ain't paying no mind. Hey, Donnie boy. 1 and number 2. Granny, she said, okay, you don't speak, you don't eat. She get in the kitchen, start heating up them chops with that gravy that only grandma can make, and that rice and them collard greens.
You got a whole bunch to say then.
Good evening.
Right.
Go in there and wash your hands and sit at the table and act like you got some sense. That's Big Mama. You ain't telling Big Mama what it is.
Right. That's not how it goes down.
The abnormal has now become normal. But what I want to tell you about Portland, they have more homeless people than we've ever seen. And they have a safety net out there called Central City Concern. That's the massive social program. I mean, you do know Portland is a bit weird.
Yes. Yeah. I know a lot about Portland. Like first of all, the state of Oregon did not want Black people in it.
No, they made you leave.
They made you leave. You were considered illegal legally on the books until like the 2000s because they were like, oh, nobody's paying attention to that. And Black people are like, well, then remove it. And white people are like, well, nobody's paying attention to that. So Oregon, very weird from the fundamentals of
I don't get about these races. They come from political oppression. You You bitched about the King of England and not wanting to pay taxes and all of these other oppressive things, only to turn. That's like a dude that was addicted to cocaine and now he's selling cocaine. The
Yes.
biggest hypocrite on earth. And karma is real, boo-boo. It might not get that generation. It might get the next generation. But karma is real.
For sure. But you know what? All of that was BS, because at the end of the day, and today, England is a matriarchy. They were never represented. The Queen was always making all the choices like that. I just feel like that's the way that they frame history. We wanted taxation and representation. No, y'all didn't like what that lady was talking about and y'all left. That's what really happened. And then y'all came here to oppress the natives and the Black people that y'all stole. But
the Queen and England are thieves.
Right, but nobody had taxation or representation. Everybody was taxed and nobody was represented. It's not like they were the only one. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just because when you came here, there was no taxation and representation for everybody. Like, you didn't come in a free land.
Genocide on an entire people, and it wasn't just the English. It was the French and the Spanish.
All of them.
I mean, Canada was settled by the French. I can only imagine how that fight went down. But Black people were here the whole time. You do know a Black man founded Chicago.
I did not know that. No.
We founded most everything. We were already here.
I believe it.
Black man, Dupont de Sable. Like Sable. Okay. He was in the furs. Because Chicago, Michigan, all of that was furs. That's where you get the furs at. The Hudson Trading Company and all. But, you know, anyway. So how big are these homes? Can you stand up in a Smalltimore home?
You can stand up in a Smalltimore home. So we have micro shelters, which are like the size of a shed that you might put in your backyard, but big enough to have a bed in it and a sink, a toilet, a closet, that kind of thing. So yeah, you can stand up in these. If you drive 8x8 shelters, the roof is a lean-to roof, if you know anything about construction, which means it's just like a triangle, but it has storage up there. Yeah, you can totally stand up in it. Absolutely.
What does this do for the psyche of a homeless person?
So just imagine having to figure out where you're going to sleep every single night. Literally, you will drive yourself crazy and can be determined, clinically and mentally ill if you've lived on the street for an elongated time because of the mental fragility that you develop. So having some place to keep your belongings, potentially now you have an address so that you can get a job or even an ID. Like, you can't get an ID without an address. So now you have an address, you can get an ID, you can get a job. And when you go to your job, you can leave your belongings and not be afraid that someone's going to steal them because you were able to lock them up. So now you have a place to rest your head every night. You're warm. You have storage for your belongings and you have an address, which is a huge, huge step going from living on the street to getting a job. Like, how do you get a job if you don't have an ID or an address? Never mind a place to shower. Like, let's start with filling out an application. You can't complete an application without those things.
Tell me about a single mother who's homeless.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So there are a lot of single mothers that live on the streets in Baltimore. One of the good things, though, is that Baltimore does cater to women and children. However, this will allow single mothers the same benefit of being able to store your belongings, having an address, having someplace safe. Because what we found is that a lot of mothers that find themselves unhoused is either because they were too young and basically, their family was like, we can't deal with this, not with you and a child. And they were, pushed out. So those are the types of youth we try to get involved in, like the foster care system. But having a house, having some place to put your belongings, having some place that no one is going to tell you to get out of here, that for your psyche and for your child, you're able to start to rebuild your life or even build your life. Because a lot of these women are really young, like not even high school graduates in some cases. We're looking for housing for 2 families right now that are under 20.
Wow. How can
So the
people?
issue, yeah, that's what I was going to say. The issue is we need land to build the houses. So many people have donated that we have the funds for the shelters, the materials for the shelters, the builders for the shelters. It's land.
Where do you want to go? Where do you want land?
In Baltimore, outside of Baltimore, frankly, anywhere. Homelessness is a problem everywhere. Starting in Baltimore, though, would be really beneficial. In West Baltimore, even better. I want to start in areas where, the black butterfly exists, where we've been historically
put the homeless shelters in the White L. I think the White L should be carrying some of the weight of the challenges in Baltimore. And I'm talking about Hopkins, Johns Hopkins University, Charles Village, because there's no need of further concentrating Sandtown or historic Baltimore with even more poverty. Let's spread it out a bit. Just like you put all of the resources in the White L, let's put some of the challenges in the White L. Because when the news comes on every night and it comes to Sandtown and it points the finger like Sandtown is the problem with Baltimore, well, they don't tell you that they closed 2 of the 3 schools, and when you close a school, you kill a community. But Kai Jackson, Mary Bubala, they don't really walk the streets of Baltimore, so they don't really know. They just read what somebody put in front of them, like they read the escaped slave report.
Right. No, these are facts. These are facts. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. The issue I have with targeting the White L is that a lot of us don't live there, and a lot of us won't benefit from that type of investment.
There's new rules. White women, drug addicts, never lived in my alley either. Hold up. If I can experience, they can experience. Equity is equity. See, that's the new buzzword, right? Equity.
You're right.
I am afraid for my life, Quida, when I go to North and 83 and a white man comes up to my car and says, "Can you have some change?" Because clearly he's lost his goddamn mind asking me for something. And then I see black people giving these white homeless people bills, but the little squeegee kid, and I know they can be a little rough. But
they can be rough, but it's still like they're children.
A white man coming up to my car and lost his damn mind. Or
right, like the squeegee boys. I don't like that people give them this bad rap. I mean, I'm a woman. I'm nice to them. I smile. They're probably
a couple of them need talking to.
Some of them are bad, but that's everywhere, right?
Oh yes,
it's everywhere.
Yeah.
That's everywhere. Like the babies, they need food.
So Quida, we got to get some people out of Baltimore. Even if we can't give them a home, because we can get you some land in Carroll County or Harford County. But these young people need a trip to Atlanta. More houses save my life.
Yeah.
They were killing people around my way.
Yeah.
My first semester down there, Joe so-and-so got killed, blah, blah, blah. The kids in East Baltimore and West Baltimore, too many of them have never been beyond 6 blocks. They need a trip out of town.
For sure.
And so I want to offer to you right here on this show, whatever it takes to help Smalltimore Homes, help our community, I will do it.
Okay.
Young people, young men, young ladies need to go and see some other parts of the world. They need a passport. They need so much. We're having babies before we even get a passport, as if it's some rite of passage. And then what happens is nobody raised the babies. So you got generations of
babies raising babies.
Yeah, my grandmother was 70, 80, 90 years old. These cats' grandmothers are 24.
Listen, one of my friends was complaining this past Easter, talk about these 40-year-old grandmothers are ruining Easter. Where's my plate? Oh my God, it's crazy. Things are changing and everybody is noticing. Okay.
Well, it's kind of cyclical. It goes and it comes.
Yeah.
Young mothers, a woman has many choices. Do I go for family? Do I go for career? Because it's hard to do both at the same time, although some do it.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever you do, own your house. If you're paying $1,000, $2,000 for rent, Negro, you can own a house.
For sure. You can own a multi-unit, live in one, and rent out the others, whether it's one other one, a two, a three. Listen, there's ways to make it happen. Don't think that you can't do it. Period.
I saw the cutest meme. This guy wrote, I've been living with my girlfriend for 5 years, paying the rent, come to find out she was the landlord.
Yes, ma'am. See, that's what I'm talking about. Yes. See, that, like I said, it can be done. That's hilarious.
And you know what? Black people aren't the only ones that have been engaged for 5 years.
No. So many cultures do it. Yes. That's not even. Start with buying the house, regardless of who you are or who you're with.
So there's something you're not telling me. This Smalltimore Homes thing, you were just like, oh, I'm going to do Smalltimore Homes. What happened?
Yeah. Well, so tiny homes, they are so interesting to me. And I like the idea of the puzzleness and making furniture that's convertible and furniture that, is multifunctional. So just building tiny homes and being able to design something that's resilient, sustainable, renewable energy. Like I'm a total nerd. Like I'm a computer science major. This stuff like excites me. And then teaching it to other kids or to young minds, they're like, what? I can get energy from the sun and I can use that to power my cell phone when my parents don't want me on the internet. Like, oh, and so they're thinking that way. But most importantly, the idea of these little tiny homes, and they're just so cute and functional. And the idea that Baltimore has jacked up infrastructure on these vacant lots, we can just pull some tiny homes into the vacant lots, throw some solar panels on there, a water filter, and boom.
I got an idea for your garden. I don't know if you've seen it, but I saw some story and it was like a big Walmart and all on the roof was the garden. Have you seen that?
Rooftop gardens. Absolutely. So the first tiny home that I built has a rubber roof so that if the person that wants to live in it, if we want to put a rooftop garden up there, we can do that, which is kind of important in Baltimore because we know that we have the rat infestations at times.
See, that's how you would get rid of the homelessness in Portland. All you need to take is like 100 Baltimore rats out there. They would clean it up overnight.
Please stop. Please stop.
I'm not laying on the ground with the rat chewing on my head. I see it down there by Real News Network. Dude laid right out there. The rat is right. Dude, I'm not living with rats like that. That's too close to comfort.
Listen, people do it, and people don't recognize that some of these vacant and abandoned houses have the rats, the roaches, the mice, and homeless people who are unhoused living in them right next door every day. Some people know, some people don't.
Have you seen the squatting move?
Yes.
They go down there and file paperwork. This is my house.
Yep.
Well, let me tell you, Mr. Squatter, don't try that in the 1100 block of North Carrollton Avenue because we have our own Indian Removal Act.
That's the part. That's the part right there. Like
Don't bring it
Baltimore
down here.
tenants.
Walking down the street like I live here. No, you don't.
No.
We're gonna show you.
And during COVID, people getting real slick with that kind of stuff too.
So how does it happen? What happens?
When what? Somebody squats in a house?
When they squatting and they go to own it. Because that's the white people. That's not black people typically.
No, black people don't know about that loophole. That's all that is. But yeah, so when that happens, you really have to get your lawyers involved. Tiny homes for work. So Evan, I'll get right back to you. So when you are squatting and you want to get somebody evicted, you really have to go through the process of an eviction, like a sheriff. But it's super difficult because you never had like an agreement to begin with. And in Baltimore, chances are they're gonna win.
Chances are they don't know the police I know, because the police I know is going to remove that damn burglar because they broke in their property, and we got pictures. So
listen, you're going to have to get Pookie and them to get these people out, okay? You're going to have to get Pookie and them to get these people out.
They gone.
Because, listen, Donnie, if they get one piece of mail coming to that house, that's the proof that this is their house.
But they gotta hold on to that piece of mail, and I don't think they're gonna make it through the firestorm we bring their way, boo-boo.
So yes, there's that. But Evan was asking about tiny homes and how they would work. So actually right now, Evan, what we're doing is partnering with people who are servicing those who are unhoused and other organizations that have urban gardens, and building the micro shelters on those grounds that those people are maintaining. I don't have the capacity to make sure that the grounds are kept and that people are getting the services that they need, which is why I would partner with organizations, and that's what we're doing now. But for people who want to buy tiny homes, part of the legislation that I'm working on now is to change the zoning for single family homes to include an exception for tiny homes in Baltimore. It makes sense for the infrastructure, for the lot sizes, for the alley homes. It just makes sense specifically here in Baltimore. So it's something that we're working on, and a way to get around it is basically to have farmland.
Do you have any legislators who are supportive? Delegates, state senators?
Yeah, so I've been speaking to some council members, Zeke Cohen, as well as Ryan Dorsey. Ryan tried to pass a accessory dwelling unit bill.
You can't mention his name on this show.
You said what again?
You can't mention his name on this show. That man has wreaked havoc on my neighborhood. We got bike lanes tying up traffic. We're trying to get our kids cross town. And the problem is, I don't know if Ryan Dorsey got no kids, but I don't see no damn body in the damn bike lanes. But meanwhile, traffic is all tied up, and they said it's going to minimize the ecological footprint. Dude, I'm just trying to get cross town to get my kids to the basketball practice or the chess club.
Right, because the thing about the minimizing the ecological footprint, unless you're giving away bikes, people aren't going to just start riding bikes because there's bikes.
Women ain't riding no bikes.
But generally, the general person, if I wanted to ride a bike, I would have already had a bike, right?
Have you been there right there north in 83? Every day traffic is backed up.
Yeah.
They have taken, there's nothing in the right lane but an arrow. So traffic is backed up 3 blocks because the city of Baltimore, for the past several months, has this damn arrow saying, don't drive here.
Yeah.
Why? Why live my life? Because
I don't love the bike lanes either. I don't love but I'm not a bike riding person.
I saw a lady about to get, hey, they came out on this biker lady because you know how she was. Oh, I have the right to ride my bike wherever. And homeboy at the corner like, okay, let me show you how this is going to end.
It's bad.
It's that mentality that, What I want matters, and what you want does not matter. That's such a.
So this is the thing.
From
people are being super selfish with no self-interest or consideration for other people, right? Like if you treated people like people and we treated humans like humans, the world would be like the world would be such a better place. Like just
like you want to be treated.
It's really just that simple. But I don't love the bikes either, Donnie. I'm not going to say too much about it because a couple of my friends done bought bikes and whatever. But
we support Harlem Cycle up in New York. We are big on bikes, but white people want these special rights and protections. We've been going. Look, they got bike lanes around Druiddale Park, and one of the excuses was, well, we want the traffic to slow down so we can walk our kids across Druid Park Drive. Like the traffic. This is a damn highway. And when black people were crossing the damn street, where were you white people? Nowhere to be found. So go sit down and shut up. It's the damn park. So you got people driving around the park like they're in a funeral.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a damn highway. Highway.
You know what you're reminding me of how they're trying to change the face of Howard, and people were trying to walk their dogs on the yard and
Black people know where to put the damn dog. You walk the dog over the park, you know, you look out for your neighbors, clean up your backyard. You know, we got too many
entitlement. It's the entitlement of it all. I like to call it the caucasity. It's like the audacity to be Caucasian, like the caucasity, like the freaking entitlement of everything just drives me nuts. And yeah, the caucasity of it all. They're in all the neighborhoods. It feels like, Evan, like I don't see a bunch of bikes on my block, but I live near Hopkins. So we'll I don't know. There is a bigger bike culture in Baltimore, though. There is a bigger bike culture in Baltimore that I do see a lot more frequently than I saw 3 years ago.
Paying no damn bills. I pay too much in damn car insurance. I don't care if you had the biggest damn bike club in the world. You ain't got a damn thing to do with my car payment. I paid them like Maurice States. Don't talk about Randallstown. Maurice States to go off. Don't be telling me about no damn bikers' rights, because drivers go through a lot. Only to have somebody that ride a damn bike dictate how you supposed to live.
I'm sorry, Donnie, that happened to you. Leroy seems to agree. I think none of us that are driving cars on a daily basis love the bike lanes. Oh, yeah. I mean, the bike lanes, the coffee shops, the dog park.
I like coffee.
So
in the black community, we got Arabs, Koreans, Africans, everybody come here so we can have a damn coffee shop. They can bring that old raggedy, rotten chicken here, then we can have some black coffee from Africa, from Kenya somewhere.
Yes, let's get some Kenyan coffee up in this piece. I'm with it.
What can people do to support you, Quida? It's so wonderful to meet you. Special thanks to Dave Lovelace, Chappie, for the connect.
Yes, so everybody can go to smalltimorehomes.org. You can join our financially lit workshops. You can donate. You can volunteer, but continue to donate, because there are a lot of unhoused youth out here, and I'm working with an organization to try to keep them housed. And it's just way too many for me to even try to build for. We just have to get them into places. So yeah, thank you.
Have you met Sarah Heminger of Thread?
No, I have talked to people at Thread, but not that specific. Not Sarah.
I got a number, but Sarah Heminger, she's on Facebook. She's a gangster, and this is an Italian white woman that has helped some of the baddest of the baddest.
Okay.
Yeah, they were bad, black kids, because I would have thrown some of them in the damn harbor.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people are. They're like, these people aren't worth my time, but I don't.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
In my father's house, in my mother's house, there were repercussions.
But you'll throw them in the harbor. Donnie, I'm not doing this with you. I'm not doing this with you. Thank you so much for having me, Donnie.
Baptized their ass. Okay, praise the Lord. You had me cussing. I'll never cuss on the show. We'll be back tonight at 7 o'clock. Thank you, Quida. We love what you do.
All right.
Talk to you at 7, folks. Thank you.
Good night.